Welcome, everybody, to the Tagline podcast. I am, of course, one of the hosts for this podcast. My name is Meerkat Monarch, sometimes known as Jay's Lillevik, and with me, as always, is...
Gene the Angry Penguin, and this week we'll be talking about Batman movies,
I th-
and
I,
not the dark, gritty new ones.
yes, the colorful 90 versions, or colorful or dark, colorful and dark, basically. I thought I almost lost you there because it took you a while to respond.
Yes, I had some issues with not having any caffeine in the house, and I ran to take care of that.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, it's important. It's life essential. Aqua vida, as we say. So, should we just get to it? We originally wanted to have one of the unsolicited opinions podcast members on today as well, but he hasn't responded, and we thought we'd just get started and see if he drops in to give his opinion. Well, hopefully he'll be here, Artivous Ira, but we'll get started anyways because we got a lot to cover. I mean,
Well, if he takes too long, he'll just miss the good Batman movies.
yes, he will. He will. Well, let's first establish what we're talking about. We're talking about the Tim Burton universe, not the Adam West universe from the 1960s. So it's the Tim Burton movies and the Joel Schumacher movies, which Tim Burton was a part of the production team for. He was the producer for them. So, yeah. Just don't despair. Don't despair, buddy. We'll get to them, but I know you want to talk about Mr. Freeze.
I want to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger's one-liners is what I want to get to.
Yeah. I know you're itching to talk about that. But let's just get started with the probably one of my favorite Batman movies, which is the original Batman. And we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna talk about the different characters or the different actors that have played Batman as well, in addition to discussing the movies. So let's get started with Michael Keaton in the first Batman movie.
And I think you can rate all the Batman on the two categories.
Yeah.
How they were as Bruce Wayne and how they were as Batman. What are your feelings on Michael Keaton?
I like Michael Keaton as Batman. I honestly do. I can't. There's something about the way that he's definitely a different type of. He's not the typical Frank Miller Batman. He's more passable as a secret identity superhero, basically, because you can't see the connection between Bruce Wayne and Batman when Michael Keaton is playing it, because Michael Keaton seems like too much of a nice guy behind the mask, and I think he carries it off.
Yeah, he's got more. I never cared. I mean, great actor. Really enjoy his stuff.
Yeah.
But as Bruce Wayne, he fit the role for the Tim Burton film. But when I picture Batman, I don't picture that kind of Bruce Wayne. He was good in the role, especially in the Tim Burton universe. It all fit and meshed real well. But there was just something about it that it felt Tim Burton-y and not pure Batman-y, I guess.
Yeah,
those words.
I see you. I see your point. It sort of it was very, it's very Tim Burton, but then again, it seems like this sort of eclectic mix of the 1960s, 1970s Batman with the Frank Miller type of Batman that we're sort of used to. It is this gritty, dark universe, but still kind of slightly campy, but not too campy. If you,
But does Batman work? And I mean, the original Batman, the Batman TV series, and all that glorious goofiness. You know, that works as its own thing, but that doesn't really work as Batman. You know, that's Batman doesn't work well as a character in the campy universe. I don't feel.
no, I see your point. It's just I I I, I really I think that the um the Tim Burton Batman movies are more the type of um how should I put this? It's more it's what's the blueprint for the comic book movies that came after it. If you understand what I mean, the high when you look at Richard Donner's Superman movies, they are very true to the source material and very true to Superman as an idea and an ideal. But when it comes to Batman, the 1980s Batman was more. He was darker in the comic, but more lighter and more approachable as an entity in the movies. He had to be. They couldn't have the Frank Miller Batman in the movie universe at that time because it didn't fit the time. Basically, it didn't fit the time it was made in my opinion.
You know, we should. Thinking about Batman, it's been years. It's the Batman grit arc. You know, you could graph out the grit in Batman from the '60s on to the present, and it's just this, you know, line stretching up into the heavens.
Yeah.
And I think Tim Burton, he hit that pre-realism in the comic book movies feel, and like you said, it's just a great combination of, yes, this is Biff Bam Kapow Batman, but we got to bring it down to earth, son. You know, the
Yeah.
Joker's really killing people. You know, he's not stealing a golden egg, and you know,
Yeah. It's not the well, the Adam West TV series was I mean, that is the quintessential kid show. Kid sort of PG-13 rating nowadays. It would have that if that was released now, that would make people cringe. The that would be the Spawn of our day, the PG-13 Spawn version. It just doesn't fit the Batman of this time, and I agree that you sort of see the grittiness. It becomes a hell of a lot more during the Tim Burton versions, and especially in the first movie. I mean the way that some of the characters are portrayed and created. I mean, they don't have any particular background story in the TV series. They do in the Tim Burton movies. They are very laden with backstory. And
yeah, it's
the first one is both establishing the Joker and Batman as characters. And I think they pull it off. They manage to do that because they have that sort of two polar opposites, yet also very similar in the way that they're reacting to the world. They are two extreme personas clashing together. It's two forms of chaos, so to speak.
yeah, it's Well, it's vigilante justice versus criminality gone mad, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, and I think that um, the Joker probably. I mean, they couldn't have picked a better way to. And let's face it, it's a reboot. It's a reboot of the '60s movies or movie and TV series. But
Well, I
they,
mean,
yeah,
a franchise like Batman, I mean,
yeah,
everything is a reboot, reimagining.
yes, exactly. And by this point, we don't really need another fucking origin story for Batman. I think pretty much
No,
everybody knows this by now.
and I think Zack Snyder took that to heart. He
Yeah,
then used, then ripped out his own heart and wiped his ass with it. But whatever.
yeah,
Hopefully Affleck can. See, I haven't seen that one, but everything I'm hearing is that Batfleck
it's
did
pretty
a
good.
great job.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're not going to talk about that because we could talk about that in another podcast in some other way. I don't want to approach that modern shit just yet. it's uh it's it's just, yeah, I love the reason why I love them is because they're a part of my upbringing. They fit the slot perfectly in the first two movies anyway. The first movie is pretty much the typical origin movie for a superhero. It established the recipe for
Well,
for the origin
it,
stories.
it showed that it could be successful, is what it did.
Yeah.
Uh, it's pretty standard origin story, but it showed that you can make a superhero movie.
Yeah, and
Uh,
especially after the fail that was Superman 4 that got released a couple of years before this one. It was
uh,
kind of
the Superman series, I'm pretty glad the people who took the time to vote
yeah,
picked Batman.
yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of Superman. I find him more boring as a character,
I
uh,
agree.
and really didn't want to have to go back and watch Superman 4 because I remember nothing about that film.
No, exactly. That would have been it would have been not what we were looking for this show. It would have been uh horrible.
Well,
Horrible
and
basically.
I mean, what can be said though about Tim Burton's style? Uh, Batman is definitely in the Tim Burton style. There's not much to be said for that. It's so he's gone. I don't want to say anything bad about Tim Burton. This guy like created my childhood,
Yeah.
but it's just now it's just kind of tired, I guess. Looking
Yeah,
back on
yeah.
it was this special neat thing, and now it's just like every time Burton,
Yeah,
fix it up,
there was
son,
a
bud.
there's a reason why I didn't go back and rewatch the movies this time around because I wanted to sort of keep the feeling from when I remember watching them last, and that was before I got a little fed up on Burton because when your name has become like the description of your movies as being Burton-esque, then maybe you're overdoing your style.
Yeah, and something to be said for that. And you see the fatigue in
Yeah.
Batman Returns of that style. It worked in the first one, I think, because of the simplicity of the story. You had the two foils going at each other, and it was just basic Batman. Joker, Batman, good, evil,
Yeah.
order, chaos, and all the little themes, the basic Batman themes were there. And then Michael Keaton had a blast with it. You can tell it looked like he had a blast filming it. I think everybody had fun on that set because that it's just a feeling I get watching those films.
Yeah, and I think you're pretty right in that. To sort of assume that they had fun, because I think working on a Burton movie is very much, he lets the. I bet my ass that there's a lot of professionality on the movies as well, but working on the set, I think, will be a sort of tornado of imagination let loose there. So to that to that effect, I think the first two Batman movies was very much fun to create, and let's move on to the second Batman movie, because or before we do, Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Just lay it on me. Your opinion.
Jack Nicholson was the perfect Joker for the feel they were going for. He was dark, he was a little scary,
Yeah.
and he was just a little scary, until he went. When he turned it up, he could turn it way up.
Yeah.
And he would have moments in that film where he goes from just this, oh, is this creepy murderer crime boss in clown makeup, to, oh God, why?
Yeah.
That thing with his girlfriend, and the little things that kind of haunt you about that character.
It's not. The thing is that the difference, but let's compare the two, okay? Because they are sort of naturally aligned. The Heath Ledger versus Jack Nicholson debate or debacle type of thing. I think they're equally good representations of the Joker, but Jack Nicholson is more of a jump scare Joker, if you get my drift, while you always expect the craziness out of Heath Ledger's Joker. You sort of get lulled into a safe sense of security with Jack Nicholson's Joker, if you understand what I mean.
Jack Nicholson's Joker is like the way they write the Joker for Mark Hamill in the cartoons.
Yes.
He's calm, 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 psychotic.
Yeah.
And you never know when that psychotic beat's going to hit. Whereas Heath Ledger's Joker was written, I think, more as a completely direct foil to the Batman.
Yeah.
Batman's crazy. Let's put that out there.
Batshit
He's
crazy.
Crazy man.
Yeah, batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what two things were in the newer films, you have this crazy guy who's trying to inflict order, and you have this crazy guy who's trying to push chaos. They're both insane.
Yeah, but I think
crazy.
Yeah, well, you dragged in the new movies, and I didn't really want to touch on them, but I don't think, quite personally, as of the last couple of years or months, I've rewatched them, and I don't think that they capture that sort of tortured craziness that Batman has. It's more of, he does it out of his complete volition, and not as in a sort of Frank Miller way where he is almost pushed to it by his own insanity. And I think that actually got captured a lot better in the original, or in the original, I say, in the Tim Burton versions, where he actually is polar opposites. I mean, he's also, he's the playboy in the Nolan version, or the Nolan verse, if you want to call it that. And in the Tim Burton version, he is more of a split personality. He is more going from one extreme to another. And you realize that, you see when he changes over to the Batman version, you see that almost snap decision to go down to the basement and just put on the suit. It's completely... I just feel like it's a lot more. They try to make Batman a little bit more sane, and I'm not saying that was a bad decision and the worst movies, but do you get my drift? Do you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
well, let's put it this way, because Bruce Wayne doesn't exist. That's one thing about Batman. Bruce Wayne doesn't actually exist.
He's
There
the
is,
mask. He is the mask. Bruce Wayne is
yes.
the mask for Batman more than the other way around, which is a point actually that they make in um yes, I'm pretty sure that is the third. Yes, in Batman Forever. We'll get to Batman Forever after we've talked a little bit about Penguin and Catwoman.
Catwoman. Villains.
Yes.
And like a lot of superheroes, Batman's one of the more interesting superheroes, but the villains make them. The
Yeah.
villains make your heroes.
Oh yeah. They
Uh,
are, and that's one thing that I've always said. Apart from Batman, Marvel always makes the best heroes, and then DC always makes the best villains. The villains are much more thought out in the DC universe than they are in the Marvel sometimes, and especially when it comes to the Penguin. I think he is underrated as a Batman villain, and he has not been portrayed better than the portrayal by Danny DeVito in
well, it's
Batman
like
Returns.
I don't know how much of that, or I don't know about the different comic book iterations of the Penguin. Because sometimes I've seen him portrayed as just a criminal, kind of like in the Gotham series.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Let's
know,
not get into that train wreck.
well, it's. Can we diverge for just a moment,
Yes. Okay.
or do we want to?
No.
I think the problem
Diverge
with
a little bit.
don't
No, diverge.
forge ahead.
Go ahead.
Diverge. I think the problem with Gotham is Gotham should have been a show about. It should have been just a crime drama.
Yeah.
That's all Gotham should have been, because that's all that was going on until the Batman showed up.
Yeah. Agreed.
None of these freaks showed up until after Batman got there. And then they started showing up because Batman's crazy as the contagious kind.
Yeah, and they actually cover that sort of escalation really well in the Nolan version of the
Yeah,
movies.
I mean, it's like it's your fault all this happened. You could have
Yeah.
you could have done everything within the legal system and succeeded. And
Yeah, which is actually one of the better things that they cover in the Nolan verse than they do in the Burton version. I don't think that they really cover the escalation properly in the Burton version, even though they escalate all the time. Because after they had Catwoman and the Penguin, and let's talk about Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. I say she's the best one they've had so far.
well, yeah, and oddly enough, one that's nowhere true to the she's Catbird. Oh, hello.
Hey, is Artivous
Hey
here?
guys.
Oh, we're discussing Catwoman,
Well,
and
Art
I say
here
Michelle Pfeiffer is the best one.
Oh shit. Don't make me choose Catwoman. That's not right. That's
well. Here's a question
want
for
all
you.
of them.
You're a comic book guy, right, Art?
yes.
Okay. The Penguin. Danny DeVito's the Penguin. Then we'll come back to Catwoman. How close to that is he to any of the comic book adaptations of the Penguin?
Danny DeVito?
Yeah, his Penguin.
Um See, that was the thing. Tim Burton has this obsession with weird.
Yeah.
And so his Penguin was amazing, but in terms of the comic book, it really didn't. It wasn't the comic book Penguin.
Yeah, and see, that's I'm glad Art showed up to clarify that. because that's what I wanted to get at, was that of the two Batman movies, that Penguin, that is an original creation, an original variety of that image for that
Yeah.
character
Yes,
with the weird
yes.
background and the.
Yeah, the Cobblepot family background was something that Burton did on his own, or as a
Yeah.
freehand type of thing.
And it's good. It's the best penguin on film, but it doesn't fit the comic book because comic book penguin is more of
Oh,
a
more of a mobster, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
Actually,
mobster that happens to be a freak, so
yeah, the Oswald Cobblepot of the first season of Gotham is actually quite close to
you
the
shut your whore
Penguin.
mouth.
Yeah, yeah, I know you don't like Gotham.
We
Stop giving compliments to that infernal fucking show.
I
we,
will.
you
We
came in a second too late because we already diverged that time.
Sweet.
Yes, you made it.
yeah.
You've dodged the Gotham discussion. But
So
on to
yeah,
You want to
Michelle
know
on
what's
to
freaking
Pfeiffer.
hilarious?
go ahead.
If we're talking about best comic book adaptation, Catwoman,
Yeah.
Gotham's got the best one.
Oh, the Selena Kyle young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how we all got sad for a second there when you
Yeah,
said that.
that's
I
just.
know, because it's true. And she's like the only character on the show that you don't want to throw in a meat grinder because her adaptation of Catwoman is actually on point.
Yeah.
Everything else is a blistering cum covered mess, but she's perfect.
Okay.
Speaking of, can we get back to Michelle Pfeiffer in leather? Uh,
Oh, yes, let's.
our
I
childhood.
never got the whole Michelle Pfeiffer like attractive thing in leather. I
Oh,
don't know, maybe it's just me and blonde, like I'm not a big fan of blondes.
yeah, it might be. Or you're just racist because you prefer Halle Berry.
Really? No, Holly Berry is not the best Catwoman, and don't even go there.
Okay,
We're not.
who would you say then? Are you saying Anne Hathaway? Are you seriously saying Anne Hathaway?
I'd say
Nope,
the
fuck it.
truest.
I'm going Eartha Kitt.
Oh, classic, man.
I I gotta say Eartha Kitt just because it's Eartha Kitt. You
I
know, you
okay,
Yeah, that's the
okay.
problem is you have to default give it to Eartha Kitt because nobody is really I don't know. It's just that one's hard
Yeah.
because
what I had heard rumors that some of the stuff in Batman Returns was due to studio meddling.
yeah,
Yes, yes, there was,
there
and
was some meddling stuff.
yeah,
Which
and
is why Burton didn't come back for a third movie.
yeah, that is one of the reasons why he was just a producer on our next line in this series, and that was Batman Forever. And let me just say before we start the Joel Schumacher hate train, um, Val Kilmer, not the worst Batman.
He wasn't the best,
No,
but he
no,
Well,
wasn't
no.
the worst.
he kind of had the flip thing to Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was a really good Batman and okay, Bruce Wayne. Val Kilmer
Was an
was
excellent Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
yeah.
it was. He was.
And now
I don't know. I liked Bruce Wayne. I don't think he was as good a Bruce Wayne
No.
as people gave before him. I think he was more of a just he kind of plays every single character that he plays the same.
Yeah, he did. He did the Saint almost in the same way that he did
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne.
so I really can't fault him for that, but it's just he's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, yeah, but he's no Michael Keaton or you know He's not up there. I still rank Michael Keaton really high on the Batman meter, um, but I'm sort of undecided when it comes to the new people. But but let's talk about the choice of bad guys in that movie. The Riddler, the 1960s version's Riddler, and the
Yeah.
Two-Face version as well, because that was, if Tim Burton was a step up in grittiness, Batman Forever was a step back into the campiness of the 1960s TV
Oh
series.
yeah, it was the beginning of that. And
let me say something about our director here, because I'm actually a huge fan of Joel Schumacher. And you're looking at the guy who, when you sit there and say, let's make a Batman movie, who should we get? It's like, how about the guy who directed Flatliners and Falling Down and 8
Yeah,
Millimeter?
yeah,
It's like 8 Millimeter is one of the films he did after Batman.
yeah.
It's like, how do you got this guy that makes these dark, deep,
yeah,
character-driven films and then gets on Batman and I just
I think it was
neon?
studio. I think it was studio meddling. I think they brought him in because they could make him do what they wanted.
Yeah, because Tim Burton wouldn't play ball, and
Yeah, and I think they got him because he was like, it's a big opportunity, and he really wasn't that famous a director until that movie.
no, that
And
that is
it was probably probably made a deal to make other movies after that because he directed that and just let them do whatever they wanted in terms of meddling. I think if he actually had full control of that project,
it would have
um,
been a lot darker.
yeah,
I don't know, because he has apologized for them. Like, I
yeah,
believe it's
because
his
he
commentary
could
on
have
Yeah, but
fought for it.
that is actually a good sign that it was studio
That
run,
Yeah,
because
because
yeah,
I think that, and I think if he actually had control of the project, he probably would have focused a whole lot more on Two Face
oh yeah, yeah. I think
and developing that character rather than just have him a constant cartoon that never really gets explained except for that one scene.
yeah, and it's also it reminds me, the Batman Forever, Batman and Robin debacle reminds me a lot of the way that Kevin Smith talked about the Superman project he had with Tim Burton back in the day, and he
Oh,
talked,
that
yeah,
it would have been a train wreck now that I think about it.
yeah, it would have been a train wreck, but Nicolas Cage as Superman would have been a train wreck anyways. But it the idea
At
of
least he can
him,
emote.
yeah, yes, by all means he can emote. But here's the thing: the way that they talked about the script writing process sort of tells me that they started to realize that, oh shit, superhero movies can still make a buck, so let's just, go completely hog wild and throw all this neon shit, because neon is really popular now. You've seen all the trans not the trans but the trans community, and then I mean the music and not the people.
What are you talking about?
He's talking about trance.
Yeah,
I don't
trans
know if
as
his
a
accent
Oh,
is.
techno,
yeah,
yeah,
you said
rave
trans,
parties,
and you
rave
keep
parties.
saying you
Yeah,
mean
Yeah.
trance music and
yeah,
house and
yeah,
yeah,
techno and rave parties and so on, and that
club kids.
yeah, club kids. The feeling, especially Batman and Robin, but also Batman
That
Forever,
Superman.
have a lot of that fucking over the top neon bullshit that you don't see in other
It's
Joel
so
Schumacher.
90s.
Yeah, it's so fucking 90s that it's incredible. And the worst part is the first two movies didn't have that. And it sort of,
It's
Jarring.
because they
yeah,
actually had color schemes. If you look at Tim Burton, um, with those two movies had a color scheme. The first Batman movie was basically every character had their color scheme that kind of fit in the movie. You have Joker with the green and purple. You know how you have Batman with the black and yellow, just straight up. And everything was so gothic and so dark that it had this almost monochromatic tone to the movie without it actually being monochromatic.
Yeah.
Which made the Joker pop out because he was the most colorful thing, even though green and purple isn't that much of a thing, you know. With the second movie, they, you know, again, characters had their color schemes and whatnot. And then Batman Forever comes out and it's just all over the fucking place. Like Gotham didn't have a theme. It was just
What was the '90s? The whole
rainbow. Yeah.
Batman Forever and Batman and Robin were themed to the '90s. They could have been called Batman Extreme. You know, it was,
I
and the
mean,
sets were so cheap.
yeah, and it's what happens if you have sort of like a Richard Gecko type of character running a studio. That's when you get the bad bullshit, the sort of over the top bullshit that you get from Hollywood during the 90s, and it continues on today.
which didn't make sense because there were superhero movies that were coming out that could actually have a color scheme.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, but the kids
Like,
love laser light shows and smoke.
Yeah, and these
like
Neon.
people
movies.
shat on Spawn, but Spawn was a better superhero movie than those two
Oh
movies.
yeah, that is a good point. Spawn
Was fun.
Yeah, Spawn tanked because they went to PG-13
Yeah,
with it.
that if it was still a better movie than those Batman movies, but the one thing is if they had made that movie, you couldn't do an R. It would have had to have been an NC-17
Yes.
to do it
Yeah.
properly, and they could have kept the exact same cast, the exact same director, the exact same everything, and it would have been one of the best superhero movies ever made. But PG-13.
Yeah.
Well, I think it suffered in the same way the new RoboCop film suffered. You know, not a bad
Yeah.
film,
But
but
made it
it
a
hurt.
bad, yeah, made it the wrong.
It,
Yeah.
the having to edit something down to PG-13 that shouldn't be
Yeah.
PG-13 hurts the film.
Yes.
You know,
That is.
it's
Yeah.
That
like,
is
imagine I think we've all seen Deadpool, and imagine them trying to do that
Oh
PG-13.
God, you
Oh.
How
couldn't.
flat that would have fallen.
You couldn't. You could not. You'd have to cut out half of the movie just off of what's happening on screen,
Yeah.
and then you'd have to neuter the language in the rest of the scenes.
That is
In
true.
absolutely every single scene, it would be an entirely different movie.
Yeah. Well, let's get back on the topic because we need to talk about this movie before we end the podcast, and that is Batman and Robin.
Everybody freeze!
Oh God,
You know
absolute-
what? You know what? After watching Gotham, I can't hate on that movie all that much anymore.
Jesus.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
said
that
shit.
says a. I've only seen the first fucking season of Gotham, and that says a lot about the second season because the first
All right,
season
all right.
was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
It was mediocre.
Yeah.
But the thing about Batman and Robin as a movie is it's a horrible, horrible Batman movie. Just god awful.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's one of those movies now that when you watch it, it's so bad that it's good.
It's superhero. It's a superhero version of Plan 9 from Outer Space.
It's if you were going to adapt the TV show Batman into a movie,
Yes.
that's what you would get. That's what that movie was. Now,
Absolutely.
nobody asked for that and nobody wanted that, but that's what we got. And it's still better than Gotham.
Tell us how you really feel, Art.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry, but I stopped watching it this season, and I rarely quit shows.
Yeah.
I'll watch stuff out of spite. I'd be like, this is the show that's gonna fucking beat me.
You were the dude that was still on Lost every week just because you wanted to know the ending, even though the ending was
Yeah.
fucking obvious.
Oh
my
no,
God.
I broke my TV on that show, dude.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I smashed my fucking TV.
Oh. Yeah, but
I was so pissed off.
yeah, that hurt. That hurt something awful. Like, but it's still the thing that the weird thing is that the cast is not necessarily bad. The only thing that I react to when it comes to the Batman Robin thing is the Schwarzenegger
No, Clooney, all of them were
freeze.
weren't horrible. It's just that Batman. All right, Clooney was a horrible Batman.
Oh yeah, Clooney was the worst casting in Batman history. You can't, dude.
He was just Clooney the entire time, no matter
Yeah,
whether he was Bruce Wayne trying to pretend to be what he needed to be in order to portray Bruce Wayne as a character in the world,
yeah,
or behind the scenes. He wasn't dark at all. He was still that fun-loving,
Clooney, man.
goofy Clooney. Check out my back card. It was.
yeah.
Some
And,
of that was a script, but yeah, he just. I
and
don't know.
I don't think
The
he
only
took it
person.
seriously, and
and you
honestly, once
wonder
if
why Superman works alone.
See,
It's
I
comics like
think
that.
I think it because if you go back and watch that, the only things I really remember about that movie, other than being blinded by the color, uh, is the smile on Arnold Schwarzenegger's face throughout that entire
oh,
film.
he was having the time of his fucking
Oh,
life with him in that
he
movie.
seems like the only one who's enjoying
No, no, no.
the experience.
I think the entire cast got that script, realized this was trash and schlock, and was just like, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
And Alicia
Well,
Silverstone, after that movie got made, she disappeared.
Yeah,
Both
that
her
ended
and
her career.
both her career and Chris O'Donnell's career ended after that. They didn't do
Batman and
anything.
Robin,
Yeah,
so bad it ended careers.
two, not just one, two. Jesus Christ, that is
That's
just
a pretty good body count for a movie.
oh
Yeah, that
yeah.
is.
And Uma Thurman had to take account as well after
No,
that.
her career was over until she got Kill Bill.
Yeah.
She got lucky.
Do you think we can still save Alicia Silverstone?
I don't think she wants
I
to
don't think she
anymore at
wants
this
to be
point.
No,
saved anymore at this point. No, the
no.
thing with Uma Thurman is if if Tarantino hadn't cast her as the bride, her career would have been over.
Yeah.
He almost didn't cast her.
Yeah, it was a close call, and but still, her portrayal of Poison Ivy is not bad. It's not horrible.
I got one word for you. Bane.
Yeah.
Deep
God.
breaths, Art. We're pretty much at the end of the episode.
Calm down. Don't lose it yet. We're almost
No,
there.
here's the thing. That movie was already cluttered with villains and bad storyline and bad plot. And it was just like, you know what? You said fuck it with Mr. Freeze. Just all out, just fuck it. Semi fuck it with Poison Ivy. You know, fuck it with the Batgirl fucking storyline. Fuck it with Batman and Robin. Did you have to drag Bane down with you?
Yeah.
This is the 90s, man. Everybody dies.
Oh.
Did
And
you
that
have to drag Bane down with you?
and it shows the escalation curve that went on through those movies perfectly, because they ended they ended the series with
Oh,
three
yeah.
bad guys and 3 heroes. And the third bad guy was so bad that you hardly remember him unless you're a fucking comic book geek. If you really know who he is, then
Just
you.
the contrast between that Bane on film and the Bane we got
Oh
in
yeah.
Nolan's films is the most
Oh,
night and day switching of characters I think I've ever seen in film.
I couldn't agree more. And that is one of the characters that Nolan really nailed, in my opinion.
Oh
When it
yeah,
comes
I
to
He
the,
love
was
when it
love
comes
proper.
not the backstory necessarily, but the actual
The
character.
backstory didn't matter.
Exactly.
It was his acting.
it
It,
was his memes.
uh, uh, you just wrote the backstory. I lived it.
Yeah,
it was Tom Hardy is a really really good actor and he throws
Yes.
himself into absolutely every single role he's in.
Yeah.
And like okay, when he got announced as Bane, right? Everybody was like, Tom Hardy, really? This dude? And
everybody who
everybody just
had
yeah,
everybody who hadn't seen Bronson said that.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
Everybody who hadn't seen Bronson said that.
Everybody who had seen Bronson, and I had seen Bronson, and so my immediate reaction is like, "Holy fuck, he's gonna go nuts with this role."
That is true. And it,
You like,
and what?
it's just he was gonna chew the scenery,
Yeah.
and it was a really big. The only thing I was worried about was him chewing the scenery too much,
Yeah.
and even then, like they kept him under control, but he still stole the movie.
Yeah. That is true. We
And
have
what it,
we have discussed Batman movies in general just around the 4 movies that we were supposed to discuss, but I think we came to a conclusion that they started off good and just went for a fucking nosedive.
Yeah. I mean, does since we're getting towards the end here, Art, are there any little maybe independent films or things people might have missed out there? Something you'd recommend for the audience to check out during the week?
in terms of what really? Have you
Just
give
some.
me a genre?
Just
Well,
anything.
yeah, like
Well,
for me this week, I'm going to recommend. Since we brought it up, I'm going to recommend Bronson, and Tom Hardy did another one about another British gangster called Legend. Both
Oh,
great.
dude,
I
you
still need to
stole
see
my
that.
recommendation. God damn it.
Yes.
Fuck you.
You're a jerk.
You Gene, you asshole.
Um, you know what? Since I made Evil watch both of them, I'm gonna recommend The Raid and The Raid 2.
Yeah, I can't emphasize action movie fan, and you have not seen those films. Watch them.
Because
Yeah.
because the cinematography for those two films are bleeding into action sequences in everything these days. Like that was the one thing that I was thinking of because I thought it a couple of times while I was watching Civil War that the action scenes themselves when they were hand to hand really took the Raid and the Raid 2 cinematography
That
um
is cool.
to
That is
heart.
cool.
So if you want to see where fight scenes are going to be going in the next decade or so, and to be perfectly honest, the Raid 2 is probably like The Godfather was my favorite mob movie until I saw the Raid 2.
And Jan, what's your recommendation?
Oh, sorry. I had to find another one to recommend
You made
because
him.
someone fucking stole my recommendation. Well, then again, I did it to Gene the last week as well. So,
Ricky O, the story of Ricky.
yes, but I'm gonna recommend since I am known for doing, not necessarily highbrow. I'm gonna recommend something highbrow this time, and it's
Oh, la di da.
The Walk with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's the
Right.
story of the line walker that went across the Twin Towers. Not during the attack, by the way.
Oh,
Oh, I had to sing
Grown
one in.
worthy, Jen.
Yeah, that was
grown.
really. That was really bad. I felt dirty
That was
while
the one
doing.
thing about that movie when I saw it is like, do you really want to?
Yeah,
Do you really want to dredge up the fact that those towers are no longer there for this movie? Like what he did was amazing and whatnot, but the entire time I think people were thinking,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
We miss him. Anyways, we're going towards the end, and now that we had our recommendations, you want to take us out, Gene, since I can't close any sort of podcast.
at least he
All
admits
right,
it.
guys. Thank you for tuning into the tagline with J.H. Lillevik, the Meerkat Monarch, myself, Gene, the Angry Penguin, and our guest co-host, Artivous Ira. You can catch
Yo.
Jan and Artivous on Fridays on the League of Evil Unsolicited Opinions podcast. And you can tune in to watch Art drive Jan mad with the jokes. It is worth the scene. And thanks for joining us this week, Art. And as
No
always, thanks
problem.
for tuning into the tagline, guys. You have a good day.
Bye.